welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. You'll probably be sick of hearing my voice on Monday and Wednesday. By the time you hear Allison's interview, it will be Wednesday. I already recorded 2 this morning for Monday. But without further ado, I'm going, Allison, take it away.
Thank you so much, Vin. I am so honored to be on this call and this podcast, and I'm really my whole purpose in my work lately has been around making sure that we, as businesses, especially as women in business and minorities in business and all that kind of thing, is really making sure that the message that comes across is not really, leaving anyone out, whether it's gender, race, disability, income level, those kind of things. I'm noticing, especially in the business coaching world, there's so much geared for a very specific amount of money that they make, and it's, white people, and very limited and not what I believe in. It's definitely not why I got into this healing work that I do. So I'm basically intuitive, and I help other women especially, but men too, tune more into their intuition and live a more empathic and authentic life, and also lead a more empathic and authentic business. So I'm super happy to be here. It feels really aligned with both of our messages kind of being, in that same sense, and just so glad that you're here asking about business and, combining all the worlds and bridging those worlds with heart and business, because a lot of people believe business is I have friends that believe business is bad, and if you're a businessman, that means you're like a thief or something. So I'm just here to basically spread the word that business is actually one of the best tools we have to change the world and make it a better place. So I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm truly happy that you said that. And as you know, Allison, well, my fan base knows this, Allison may not. I'm actually going back to school in the fall for my final degree, which will be journalism. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm truly stepping into my calling because I have been in education for the last 11 years, preschool education, and for those of you who are parents out there and have 1 and 2 year olds, don't ask me any more questions about preschool. Please don't ask me any more questions. Journalistic questions, yes, but preschool questions, I'm out. Even though I'm still in education, it will be all the kids that I'm working with. So yes, that does feel good. So please don't email me about preschool questions. I can't answer them. I'm out as of Monday, but that's as of Monday. So, Allison, what is your favorite book that you turn to time and time again? It doesn't have to be a business or healing book. It just has to be a book that you go back to time and time again.
I would have to say, well, it's one that's pretty new to me, but it's forever going to be my guide for myself and also for my clients that I teach, whether they're going into business to help others or not. It's called The Fourfold Way, and it's by a woman named Angeles Arian. And Angeles, like Los Angeles, which is kind of a beautiful name. But she passed away, I believe, only a few years ago. And it feels like I found her research at this time where I can basically continue her legacy, because it turns out the research I've been doing for the last 15 years is directly aligned with what she teaches. So it basically talks about walking the path of the healer, the warrior, the teacher and the visionary, and learning how to balance those four archetypes so that we're actually a really good, because the thing I see in, the coaching world's really popular now, right? So a lot of people think, oh, I can just be a coach, and then they start marketing and it's this thing. But I was raised in this kind of healing world, so I forget that a lot of people aren't trained in how to really hold space for someone, or how to deal with it if they're going through a loss, or, how to really be present and really allow for healing to happen. And this book is definitely the most all-encompassing and the most precise of what I believe and what I've researched. And also it connects to Indigenous activism and, basically getting into that consciousness of those more earthly-based tribal wisdom that we've been missing from a lot of our Western and industrialized culture. So it's definitely my number one go-to from now on, The Fourfold Way.
Well, isn't that wonderful? And now, what has been your biggest entrepreneurial success in your business?
Well, it's interesting. I would say basically I recently launched a 6-month program for women who really want to deepen in their intuition and into their practice and their self-awareness. And I pretty much sold it out and filled it up. And what's funny is that I see it as a success not only because I sold it out and filled it up, but because it's the most aligned with what I truly want to be teaching. And, we're using this book, The Fourfold Way, as a textbook for the course. And so it's really feeling like my heart is finally sinking in after a couple of years of really trying to figure out what is my specific message and who's my niche and all these things that they teach you to just figure out, when really it took me a couple of years to feel really aligned with that. So I would say having all of my amazing students in that group program has been my biggest success so far.
Well, your amazing students get a huge shout out on this podcast, and I hope you share this episode with them, because that is incredible in itself, because not only were you able to fill it up, you empowered more students than you think. So, why did you get into this field? Were you in corporate America and you said enough is enough?
No, quite the opposite. I came from the hippie world and the don't work and go into the spiritual. Yeah, try to think that being spiritual means not having money and being a starving artist. And I'm very creative, and so the corporate world was never an option for me. And I love being a student, and I happen to have my bachelor's in creative media, which is basically like a film school type of degree. And so I love being an artist and being creative, and I never could understand how I would be able to get my work out there, whether it's art or healing or teaching. And the internet happened. And then all of a sudden, over these last 10 years, being able to go into business without having too much overhead and without needing big investors was way more of a possibility. And I basically stumbled into entrepreneurialism as like the best tool to get our forward thinking out there and, to break down some of the molds and the old belief systems. So as much as I would have loved to continue in academia and maybe have some, studies put on a shelf, I'd rather people hear what I have to say and have just the general public hear what I have to say too. So it's, my parents owned health food stores when I was a kid. So I think also that really made me realize that I could be in the healing industry and in the natural health and wellness field and do it myself and do it my own way. So I think deep down that made a big impact on me too. So I kind of just stumbled into the online business stuff after film school and used all my techie video kind of savviness to get ahead in online business.
Well, that's a wonderful story. Jeez. God. If I had your story in 2006, I would have said to my mom, who has passed away now since, I would have said, hang on, I'm not going to education program.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to journalism school in 2006. Thank you very much. Hello?
Right.
It's,
Yes.
yeah. My mom raised a creative daughter, and she, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put painting I did as a young child on my Instagram so you guys can see it. And my Instagram is Win Kelly Charles, by the way, if you guys want to follow me on Instagram. And so you guys can see the creative painting I did and see why I'm just so passionate about spreading this message about cerebral palsy, because education is going to drive me nuts. And I agree with Allison that we need more holistic, friendly things in the world, whereas the bankers and the lawyers and doctors are wonderful. But when you're a creative type like Allison and I, the creative type just sits and sits and sits until you finally take a leap.
Yes, that leap is very important too. And I think it does take that courage, right, to come up to that leap and not freak out and run away, but to actually leap. And, you know, like I said, I think my parents had something to do with that because I didn't know anything else. I think I was 9 when they opened the stores. So, you know, I don't really remember anything else but them continuously taking a leap every day, opening that store and feeling that type of energy, even subconsciously. And so I think it's maybe a little challenging for those who don't know that it takes that guts and that kind of courage all the time to keep going. But for me, that's why I enjoy it, because it's sort of a thrill.
Yeah, it's sort of a thrill. Now, Allison, I don't know if you listen to podcasts or not, although NPR, you guys, is podcasting and stuff, so you can tell me NPR and then we'll pass. Or mine will pass. You guys can be biased. I don't mind. And so what is your favorite podcast, if you have one?
Well, I have one. I'm very biased, and I'm just going to say it. It's my mom's. It's called the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. But it's actually because she's really, really saving a lot of people from anxiety. So, and that's a big thing. People deal with that left and right and don't feel like they can talk about it or feel ashamed. And
no,
she's got it's a huge podcast. And she needs,
I thought cerebral palsy was pushing the rug. Talk about what your mom is doing.
Right. Yes, very similar in that regard, where it's just like, is it taboo? Is it not taboo? Yeah, like really. And she's been helping people with anxiety for a very long time, and so it's very natural for her. And so, yeah, if you guys want to go check it out, it's called the Anxiety Coaches Podcast. It's really wonderful. She's been on this path in online business for about 6 or 7 years, so it's great to see her really getting some traction with her podcast. So I highly suggest it for anyone who deals with anxiety.
I think I found another guest for this podcast. Your mom and you have open invitation to do a joint episode, and I'm dead serious. Hand this information to your mom and pass this episode on and say, look, Wynn wants you to be on her podcast, talk about anxiety. Let's open the can of worms. Thank you very much.
Oh, no, that's right. Yep. Take the leap.
Let's open the can of worms.
Yeah,
Enough with pushing it underneath the rug. Enough with pushing the creative side underneath the rug. I give up. I give up as of today. I give up pushing the creative side underneath the rug. Right. I give up as of today. I'm getting my degree in journalism, as you guys know, and I hear myself declaring myself as a journalist with a educational heart, but I'm so done with kids being squished from their creativity in the educational field. I'm so done with this.
Yeah, that's really painful, and that's part of the work that I want to get to eventually, but I've been working with adults because I almost feel like we need our inner child to be worked on just as much as kids need help. But, I really agree with that. I think, sadly, the public education system is not built to support those of us who are more empathic and more creative and more intuitive, and I think that's going to start changing, whether it's actually in the public education system or not. I'm not sure, probably more through businesses and private ventures. But I do see things coming to a big head and needing to change. And so I'm just proud of you, and for being so open about that and really declaring what you're willing to put up with, because that's what it takes, I think, to really let people understand how challenging it can be to deal with that.
No, I'm a journalist with an educational heart. I'm so sorry, I can't.
You're done.
I'm done. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I am finally in the educational setting where I get to show my creativity, teaching third grade music, believe it or not, as a and I'm like, yep, that's gonna be me for the rest of my academic career, because I'm like, I'm done squishing these kids' creativity.
That's right.
I'm done.
Music.
And I've been squishing it for 11 years and trying to teach drama to preschool, and it's just not working. And
you're like,
not working.
no.
Nope, it doesn't agree with me. So my employer finally said to me, look, okay, you have options. You can either leave, or which we don't want you to do. You can leave permanently, or we can stick you in a different position. And they gave me the option. And of course, when a friend of mine, colleague, heard I was switching positions, she said, well, since I'm teaching music, I don't want to teach music alone. Thank you very much. So I need Win to come in my classroom and help me out here. And
that's great.
My own kids. So that's great. So that's what I'm going to be doing next year. And hopefully these kids pay attention. Just a couple seconds longer than preschool. But we hope. But no, my academic setting is very creative. There are three core principles, or the arts, academics, and the outdoors. And I was lucky enough to go to Country Day, Aspen Country Day as a student. And so I know these three academic cores in my sleep practically. So I can do this in my sleep. But I'm done squishing these kids' creativity, and I'm done watching it be squished. So, So basically, your mom does a podcast, and why did she start the podcast?
Yeah, I think, what was interesting is she was actually working with someone because she wasn't the one that started it. Someone that started it a couple years ago, I believe. And then they got kind of tired of it. They weren't actually that into it. And this is my mom's whole life and her whole career. So she basically took it over and has been blasting it out of the water ever since, basically because she's really the one that has a lot of passion and a lot of knowledge around it. So people just kept joining in and listening. And so she's basically doing it to help people. And that's what's so great about having her as one of my mentors, is she's very real about her intent of, helping people and having solutions. So natural ones.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Natural ones. Not opioid ones. Natural ones. We believe in natural ones. So I want to ask you a question. What is your favorite tool that you use in your business every single day?
Well, let's see. The one I use every single day is Instagram. That's the one I'm using
So
all day, every day.
Instagram.
Yeah,
So.
you know, and it changes. You know, that's the weird thing about social media and technology. An algorithm will change and something, you know, then I'll have to go move over to Facebook or to Periscope or, you know, I started my business on Periscope and I would do live videos on there. And that was couple years ago when they were first starting out. And then I have a presence on Facebook and I do some emailing. But the thing is, I noticed that with Instagram, there's more people that are really engaging and they're actually really looking for what I'm offering. It's not just sort of, I find on Facebook, people are always trying to sell or they're kind of desperately selling stuff. And so people are way less likely to like go out and with their credit card. But on Instagram, it feels more like it's a container, like people are really, like looking for you. Right. So for me, I've been working on posting every day and, maybe uploading some stories because I live in Hawaii. So I have, you know, a lot of beauty around.
Oh, lucky duck.
Upload pictures. I know.
The last time I was in Hawaii, I was, when? October of 2015 when I did the Kona Ironman.
Nice.
So,
good for you.
I am an ex-Kona Ironman triathlete, and that's all another podcast in itself. And so, yep, I got to see the beauty of Hawaii. Although Kona, you get to stay at Lava Rocks.
Kona's a little boring.
That's pretty. Kona is a little boring. Allison admits it. Kona is a little bit boring, but I want to go back, but not to Kona. I want Kona and me do not mix because of the Kona Ironman and Lava Rocks do not mix with me. And, I want to go back to Hawaii, but I have family over there too, and so I want to go back, but I want to see the pretty side of Hawaii.
Yes, there's lots of it.
Yeah.
Lots to explore.
Yep. So, okay, where can people find you and how can people get a hold of you and where can people find you? And then I'm going to let you turn the mic on to me and ask me 2 to 4 questions that you've been dying to ask me.
That's great. So I would say Instagram is, like I mentioned, one of my places that I'm on the most. My handle there, my account is at SourceandSea. So it's SourceandSea. And I also have a wonderful website that I just got going not too long ago, a brand new one, and that's sourcesanctuary.com. And I have some free courses on there you guys can download, and you can also check out some of my memberships. I have a membership called Source Lounge that's basically for self-awareness and self-healing tools. And then I also have one called Empathic Entrepreneurs that I'm just starting out now that's hopefully basically kind of supporting people and not needing these crazy expensive business coaches and just need a space to experiment and learn some of my tech tools that I've gained over the last couple of years. So sourcesanctuary.com, that's where you can find all that information. And thanks so much, Lynn. I'm super glad people can come find me there. And feel free to reach out, guys, on Instagram or any of that. So, let's see. I was wondering, in terms of maybe raising more awareness through business around cerebral palsy or any other kind of disabilities, like what would your suggestions be for people like me in terms of like, you know, whether it's getting on your podcast and talking about that or, you know, raising more awareness around that in business and disability and things like that?
Oh, I have never had this question placed to me, and I'm really excited to answer it. Okay. First of all, as I said to my co-host before you got on this podcast, we were actually talking about equal opportunity in employment and CP and all that good stuff. We were breaking down some of the myths of CP. So this is the perfect question to go with the dance of CP, which I'm actually calling that episode. And so I would say look at equal opportunity employers. Call the Voc Rehab of Hawaii, in the case, Allison. Call the Voc Rehab of Colorado, in my case, and ask them, do they have job coaches that they have adults with disabilities that want to be mentored by solo entrepreneurs?
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea.
And so that's a great idea because and so you guys can call Voc Rehab of California, Voc Rehab of Hawaii, Voc Rehab of Colorado. You guys can call your local rehab. I'll call your local job coaching center and ask them to say, I'm a solo entrepreneur. I want to help a kid out, because most of these job coaches, I hate to tell you guys, put these kids in mindless positions, such as putting forks in a napkin and leaving them be for 2 hours and then go back and check on them. And so most of these job coaches don't work with the physically disabled as much as they do the mentally disabled. So they put them in mindless jobs. Even though I love job coaches, that's the problem I hate about job coaches. And so when I called Voc Rehab the other day for school purposes, I said, well, can you guys help me? And it turned out they can't. But I was a little bit hesitant in calling my Voc Rehab because I'm like, I am physically disabled, but yet I have a fully functioning brain here. So I'm not the typical case here. And I didn't ask them the typical question either. And so I was a little bit scared as to what they would say, but they are willing to help me. And so we'll see what they come up with for me. But I would say to support the disabled, call your Voc Rehab, call your job coaching center as solo entrepreneurs, and get an intern who's disabled.
Yeah, that's an awesome idea. And that's just very simple and straightforward, and I love it because it really is that simple. And you just need to ask the question and know that that's a possibility. So I'm glad I asked, because I do feel like I'm not the only one that's going to want to know that. So that's great.
And secret, you guys, give a disabled person a job, they do it to the 10th degree.
That's right. That's right.
And so you only have to train them once. They ask a million questions the first day, but once they get the hang of it, they will do it to 110%. You're going to have to tell them, stop. I don't need that job anymore, because once they do it, they will do it 110%.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So
overachieving. I love it.
Yeah, that's my advice on that one. Call Voc Rehab, call your local job resource center and say, look, and if the job coach answers the phone and they're like, oh, we don't need another employer, say, look, I'm a solo entrepreneur. How can I help you guys? Because these job coaches, unfortunately, have such a heavy caseload. I mean, when I talked to Voc Rehab yesterday in Colorado, and I'm going to tell you guys this honestly, they said, we're booked out for the next to the end of May. I didn't get my meeting with them. And granted, my meeting is from college almost. I didn't get my meeting with them until June 27th. Thank you so much. So they are so overbooked, and undeserved. I felt so bad for my new case. One time, I'm like, how could I help you? almost to the point of, I want to help you. I want to help you. You don't need to help me. I want to help you.
I know.
These caseworkers and these job coaches are so overbooked now, and so if they can just get the plate relieved by solo entrepreneurship just for 2 seconds, you guys, they would be forever grateful to you guys, and I wouldn't be forever grateful to you guys, because that way you're helping me raise awareness about disabilities.
Exactly. Right. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Well, you're welcome. And
do I get another question or no?
Well, yes, you get another question. You actually get 3 to 4 questions, Allison, if you choose to do so.
I would like to know, what is something that you enjoy to do for fun?
Oh, as I said, I am a big bicyclist. I like to snowboard in the winter, and as I said, if I had a beach nearby, I wouldn't be a beach bunny. Speaking of Hawaii, I wouldn't be a beach bunny. I love the beach, although I don't like the snow. I have adapted to the snow, like the snow tomorrow, just because I am living out in Aspen, Colorado, where it snowed yesterday, so we still get snow in May.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
And I even posted that one on my Instagram, so you guys can see that one. But I have adapted to the snow just because I needed to, and so I like to bike. I like to snowboard, and I love when I get the chance to go to the beach.
I'm a huge beach person too. That's why almost everything I'm doing in my business has to do with the sea or the ocean or surfing or something, because I'm obsessed. I can't get away from it. So yes, I totally agree. Big beach fan too. But wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because I was always, you never know with certain disabilities, like you said, with your disabilities, some people might mistake that you have more than a physical disability, but you're like, no, fully functioning brain. And, so I think it's wonderful to hear that you're biking and that you're snowboarding and that you love it, all these amazing things that is really not separate from, like anything else that most people would be doing. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask,
really
because and I wanted to bring awareness to my audience around that stuff too, especially with either, hiring people with disability or just even working with them or, sharing, even just like looking for people that you want to share your information with. And I think that's just a big, wonderful thing for people, at least in my audience, to raise awareness around too, and to sense, like this isn't something that's so far off base. It's just something that I think most of us are taught, at least in entrepreneurship with this online business stuff. It's like, you have to like reach for your dreams and live this luxury lifestyle and all this. And it seems very fake to me. It's not like that we're just doing our human thing and doing our best and we're all looking for peace and we're all just, and to me that's what most of us are actually successful at, is when we're real. So I just love hearing your answers because it makes me feel like my audience is definitely going to be learning something from that too. So thanks for sharing.
Well, you are welcome. You are welcome. And I'm happy to share the resources I know. I can give you contact to a job coach in, I believe she works nationwide, and she's a friend of mine, and you can just ask her how we can help the disabled population. And yes, you can mention my name. She knows who I am.
Cool.
And I can also give you my Voc Rehab office's phone number, and I can also Google. I would suggest Google voc rehab state, and your state, and then you'll find your voc rehab. I know there's several in Hawaii, several in California.
Great.
So just Google voc rehab and then call them and say, how can I help you? I am a solo entrepreneur and I want to hire an intern with a disability.
Yeah, oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Super simple and straightforward. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you for asking, and thank you for bringing awareness to it. And this episode, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Yes, you'll be hearing a less tired win as in Monday. I'm so tired of educating kids that you'll be hearing a less tired win as of Monday. You'll be hearing a Chipper podcast host. Yay. And so I want to thank Allison for coming on this podcast and sharing her story. And as I said, go check out Allison's favorite podcast run by Mommy Dear Sylvia. And it's the Anxiety Coaches podcast. And she's laughing at me because her mom is going to get a bunch of new fans, and her mom will quickly discover why. And I'm hoping that Allison's mom will say yes to coming on my podcast eventually to talk about her podcast and basically all the incredible work she's doing. And she's raised an incredible daughter at that. And the fact that you know how to pronounce my full disability and its full right name, Allison, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. Did you Google how do I pronounce cerebral palsy? Yes, I did. And so,
oh, you're
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I didn't win. I didn't.
You did it.
I'm just aware. I'm aware.
You're just aware. You're just aware. Anyway, you guys, I thank you, and I hope you go and support the Anxiety Coaches podcast, and of course support Butterflies of Wisdom. I know we've had a lot of new podcasts for you guys to subscribe to as of today, and I'm sorry if I filled up your Android phone with all these interesting podcasts and your iPhone with all these interesting podcasts, but please, please, please share this podcast out and raise awareness for disabilities, mentally, physically, emotionally. And this podcast has been sponsored by GoKitta, KITT, or those of you on Twitter, they put the hashtag with your tweet, and so they generously sponsored this podcast. This podcast is also sponsored by Grace by Grit. Grace by Grit is a clothing line out of California, and Grace by Grit is giving you guys 20% off all the clothes. So if you go type in Exo Butterfly, you get 20% off, and then we'll see what happens with that. And then I just want to thank Allison again for coming on this podcast and sharing her incredible story. And of course, we'll be back here on Monday with another incredible interview, or if not Monday, definitely Tuesday. And as I said, you'll hear a less exhausted win. Thank God. And so I just want to thank Allison one more time for coming on Butterflies of Wisdom and sharing her incredible story. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Congratulations on moving on from education, and I'm super excited to hear more of what comes for you. So thanks again for having me.
Yes, I will keep you guys updated, and thanks you guys.